Dragon Age Veilguard is the latest installment in this very popular franchise, and I must say I have been looking forward to it for quite some time. I'm a huge fan of the original Dragon Age, particularly Origins, and Isabel the Pirate Queen always has a special place in my heart. And while the anticipation for this game is pretty high, concerns have been emerging about the game as the release gets closer and closer. Many of the footages appear and people who have played it early came out with some pretty negative comments about the game, particularly the dialogue, the way the story works out, and also how some of the characters have been designed like it's deliberately done to be as unattractive as possible. Is it because of the woke DEI interference that has been happening within this game? Questions have been asked, content creators have been having their field day taking this game apart, and so I have my suspicions about the game. I decided to hold back because at the same time I'm also occupied with two very awesome games, namely Black Myth Wukong as well as this indie hit Space Marines 2, which caught me by surprise. Really good game and highly recommended. So as I continue to observe, put the throttle on and see where this Dragon Age game pans out to decide if I want to put money into it, right? News just actually emerged that the game lost 50% of its player base after 10 days. Now this is highly unusual. A bit of context, the launch of this game was actually pretty solid. Dragon Age had about 70k players at its peak, 70.4k players, making it the biggest BioWare release by a mile. So it even outperformed Star Wars Jedi Survivor, which peaked at just under 70k. Now Dragon Age is actually a very important game for BioWare because they've had a series of not so good releases in the past. Anthem comes to mind, as well as Mass Effect, Andromeda. When you have 2 or 3 major AAA titles that miss the mark, this could be the signs of decay for a big studio. Just think of Ubisoft and think of Blizzard and where the trajectory of these big gaming companies and developers are going, right? So I think BioWare is kind of on thin ice and they do really need Dragon Age The Veilguard to be making a significant impact on the gaming landscape. But it seems now that since the player base has been cut by half, a very unusual progress, it may be quite worrying for the people in BioWare, and it seems like there are rumors that any expansion pack for this Veilguard has been shelved currently. Now just to take a look at RPG games in general, it is extremely unusual for the player base to be halved within 10 days. If you look at Skyrim, Witcher 3, Elden Ring, Baldur's Gate 3, they all have very healthy player base even past the 2-week mark. That is because these games are usually quite deep and players find there's huge enjoyment in the replayability of the game itself. So for Dragon Age, right, if it boasts to have about 50 hours worth of gameplay, maybe a lot of the players have finished playing the first round and they have left the game. This is also not a good sign. It means that the game itself is actually does not offer much replayability value in that sense, and people are not really willing to want to go through the game content again the second time round because there just isn't enough interesting characters, enough interesting alternative dialogue or alternative gaming scenarios to play. So just for reference, right, Skyrim, which is a 13-year-old game, still has 24-hour peak of over 22k players. Elden Ring still have 37k players. Baldur's Gate 3 have 71k players. So if you want to bench Dragon Age and put them side by side against the very best in the industry, the top of the class, it seems to have fallen short in that regards. There are also reports that reveal that many players have refunded the game. The sales aren't that strong. So it would seem that Dragon Age really is hiding on rough waters. I myself am having doubts as to whether I would actually be putting money into the game. I might just buy the game, play it for a bit, and then after that refund it, pretty much the same as everybody else. So just drop your views. What are your comments, and have you played the game itself and what do you think about it? Since it's an RPG game, I thought it might actually be relevant to the ESO crowd as well as the Baldur's Gate 3 crowd. Okay, I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye and thanks.